came from a very involved Jewish household. We talked about Jewish issues all the time when we were growing up. My parents were very involved in the Jewish community, in the Federation, and a lot of other Jewish organizations. I first went to Israel in 1967 when I was a young teenager, 2 or 3 weeks after the Six-Day War. We were one of the first groups to go to Israel after that. So we saw both the incredible exuberance over the victory in 1967, along with the sorrow over the huge number of people who had passed away. That made a huge impact on me in terms of what the country meant to the Jewish people. You know, it was a euphoric time, you know, in the late 60s after the June 67 war. And so it was much easier, I think, in a lot of ways for us, for those of us who wanted to be engaged in Israel, because Israel wore the white hat at that time. There was not any ambiguities or questions about the role of Israel in the world. So in a way, you know, younger people who want to get engaged on the college campuses or even in high school have a much more challenging time now, I think, than we did, which is why it's really important that we sort of help these students really understand what the situation is and facilitate their involvement to the degree they need us to. When I moved out here after I graduated college, no one moved to California to be more Jewish. No one came here for that reason. And I certainly didn't come here for that reason. But after I'd been here for a brief period of time, Robert Jacobitz, who was head of the Jewish Community Relations Council here in the East Bay, asked me if I'd get involved because there was an issue that he thought I could be helpful on. And so really my first involvement was through the JCRC and then through the Federation, you know, decades ago now when I moved out here. I used to say when I was president of the Federation, if everybody could have the opportunity that I did to go around the community and see the good things that were happening in the community, the impact that we were having, and the good things that other organizations were doing in the community, they'd have a much better feeling about the community they lived in. And sometimes the work that we do through our partners in Israel, we don't really do a very good job of telling that story, of the impact that we're having on youth at risk, you know, with Olim. And I think that if people could see and visit the projects that we're having an impact on, they would really see that their involvement with Federation is really an important element, and they would have a greater appreciation and feel, you know, really good about the time and energy they're putting into their commitment to the Federation. You know, there are very few people who were around 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago who are still here and who are still making history. And the Jewish people are. And I think to be part of that project and to be able to take any sort of leadership role is a real privilege to be able to do that.
Israel is the only country where we can be safe. If we had had that, then we would have my parents, grandparents, and uncles and aunts and cousins. If we had Israel, you really cannot educate people and tell them you have to love Israel. They have to feel that they belong someplace. The rest of the world really doesn't care about us if we don't care for ourselves. Because that we are at that point right now, that not only Israel to exist is not good enough. Israel has to be helped to survive and build on that to create pride in being Jewish, taking pride in our heritage, in our traditions, and make the young people aware of what has happened and what might happen again. I don't know how many dozen times I've been in Israel. The highlight is when we put the mezuzah on the building in Canaan, Tzvat, in memory of my husband. I would say to be true to your faith, to believe in something. And in this case, not necessarily believe in Israel, see Israel spiritually important, to have something that you know. It might be just the hills in Israel or the institutions that are there or whatever it might be. Just don't deny yourself that privilege.